Mike Tyson, once regarded as the baddest man on the planet, a man whose dominance in the ring was unmatched. But in 1991, at the height of his fame, Tyson's world came crashing down when he was accused and later convicted of being a diddler. This is the story of that case. In 1991, Mike Tyson was at the peak of his fame and career. Despite a string of controversies surrounding his personal life, including a high-profile divorce from actress Robin Givens and reports of volatile behavior, Tyson remained one of the most recognizable and loved athletes in the world. That same year, his public life would take a shocking turn when a beauty pageant contestant, Desiree Washington, accused him of diddling her. The incident took place on the night of July 19th, 1991, in Indianapolis, Indiana. Tyson was staying at the upscale Canterbury Hotel, a luxury establishment known for its elegance and discreet service. The hotel room itself, located on the upper floors, was a spacious suite with plush carpets, heavy curtains drawn over large windows, and a nice view that overlooked the city. The suite was lavish, typical of accommodations for a world champion boxer. It was the kind of setting that projects power and success. Complete with dark wooden furniture, luxurious fabrics, and an air of exclusivity, the scene was quiet and private, offering an intimate space away from the public eye. It was in this very room that Tyson invited then 18-year-old Desiree Washington, a contestant in the Miss Black America pageant, for what would later be described by Washington as a traumatic encounter. She had met Tyson earlier in the evening at a party for pageant contestants, where Tyson's charisma and fame had drawn the attention of many, including Washington. Washington's account of what happened next is harrowing. She claims that Tyson made unwanted advances soon after she entered the room, and when she resisted, the situation quickly escalated. A testimony from Washington, from a court transcript. I told him no, and I kept trying to push him away, but he grabbed me, and he was much stronger than me. I didn't stand a chance. Washington later described feeling trapped in that hotel room, unable to escape from a man whose fame and physical power left her defenseless. Despite her protest, she testified that Tyson pinned her down on the bed and sexually assaulted her. According to Washington, after the assault, Tyson left the room without showing remorse, leaving her alone in a state of shock. It was only later, in the early hours of the morning, that Washington reported the incident to a friend and sought medical attention. From that point, the case would quickly escalate into one of the most high-profile criminal trials in sports history. Another testimony from the court transcript, according to Washington. I told him to stop. I kept saying no, but he didn't listen. He pinned me down, and I couldn't move. It was terrifying. Desiree Washington would later describe how Tyson forced himself on her, leaving her emotionally and physically devastated. From the beginning, Mike Tyson always denied the diddler allegations, maintaining that the encounter between him and Desiree Washington was entirely consensual. His defense team worked to paint a different narrative, one that challenged the prosecution's version of events and cast doubt on Washington's claims. Tyson's defense attorney argued that Washington had willingly entered the hotel room that night, knowing Tyson's intentions. They emphasized that it was Washington herself who had agreed to go to Tyson's hotel room in the early hours of the morning, suggesting that her actions indicated consent. The defense argued that Washington's behavior was inconsistent with that of someone who had been unwilling or coerced into sexual encounters. According to Tyson, the night began amazingly. He claimed that Washington showed no signs of reluctance, and when she entered his hotel suite, their interaction quickly became flirtatious. Tyson's defense argued that, with what occurred in that room, was not an act of force, but rather a consensual sexual act between two adults. In an attempt to further discredit Washington, Tyson's defense brought up a past incident where Washington allegedly accused a high school classmate, Wayne Walker, of dittying her in 1989. According to Tyson's attorney, Washington's father contacted Walker's home, accusing him of dittying his daughter. However, Walker and his mother convinced Washington's father that the allegations were false and the police were never called. The defense used this incident to argue that Washington had a history of making false diddler accusations, thereby casting further doubt on her credibility in the Tyson case. However, Washington's attorneys dismissed these claims as irrelevant and as a tactic to attract media attention. To support this claim, Tyson's legal team pointed to Washington's actions after the alleged assault. According to their account, she did not scream for help or attempt to leave the room immediately, actions they claimed were inconsistent with someone who had just been assaulted. The defense highlighted that she waited until the next morning to report the incident, and they used this to delay or to raise questions about her credibility. A statement from Mike Tyson. "I know she was attracted to me, and I was attracted to her. I didn't force myself on her. It was all consensual. I wouldn't hurt anyone like that." Tyson's defense team further questioned Washington's motives, implying that she may have regretted the encounter afterward, or may have even seen an opportunity to gain financially or publicity from accusing a world-famous boxer. They presented this idea cautiously, but strategically, suggesting that Washington had the potential to capitalize on the scandal. Another key aspect of Tyson's defense was his behavior and character. His team emphasized that while Tyson had his share of troubles outside the ring, his publicized marriage to Robin Givens and erratic outbursts, he was not a sexual predator. They argued that Tyson, who had become accustomed to women approaching him due to his fame, did not need to use force to have a consensual relationship. His attorneys painted a picture of Tyson as a man constantly surrounded by attention, including romantic advances from women, making it unlikely that he would feel compelled to resort to violence to get what he wanted. The defense leaned heavily on the idea that Tyson's fame made him a target for false accusations. Another statement from Tyson following a post-trial interview. "I had women coming up to me all the time. I didn't need to force anyone to be with me. This case was about someone taking advantage of my fame." The defense's closing argument centered on the concept of reasonable doubt. They argued that Washington's testimony was inconsistent and that there was no hard evidence, such as physical injuries or DNA evidence, to conclusively prove that diddler actions had occurred. Tyson's legal team reminded the jury that without undeniable proof, a conviction could not be justified. Tyson's lawyers placed a heavy emphasis on the lack of definitive evidence to support the claim of a violent encounter. While there were signs of intercourse, the absence of clear signs of force, such as major physical trauma or direct evidence of a struggle, was a key point the defense underscored repeatedly during the trial. The trial was a media circus. The prosecution painted a picture of a young woman brutally assaulted by a powerful man, who used his fame and physical dominance to get what he wanted. They focused heavily on Washington's testimony and the fact that she reported the incident soon after, had physical injuries consistent with sexual assault, and cooperated fully with authorities. Tyson's defense fought back, suggesting that Washington's actions before the alleged assault, her agreeing to go back to Tyson's hotel room, and her demeanor afterward did not align with that of a victim. They claimed there was reasonable doubt. After a 2-week trial, the jury deliberated for nearly 10 hours. On February 10th, 1992, Mike Tyson was convicted and sentenced to 6 years in prison, with 4 years of probation. The verdict sent shockwaves across the world, as one of the most iconic athletes of the time was now branded a convicted felon. Tyson's reaction from a post-trial interview. "I was innocent of that charge. and I'll always maintain my innocence. The system was against me. People wanted to see me fall. Tyson served just under 3 years of his 6-year sentence before being released on parole in 1995. Despite maintaining his innocence, his public image was irreparably tarnished. However, Tyson returned to the boxing ring, and though his career can never fully recover to its former glory, he remained a fixture in popular culture. As for Desiree Washington, her life changed dramatically after the trial. She stepped away from the public eye, choosing to lead a private life despite the enormous attention the case attracted. She has rarely spoken publicly about the incident, but it's clear that the trauma has stayed with her. A quote from Washington's rare interview in 1992. "No amount of money or fame will make me forget what happened that night. It's something that stays with you forever." End quote. The Tyson case remains a highly divisive topic. For some, it was a clear-cut case of justice being served to a man who abused his power. For others, it was an example of a flawed legal system targeting a high-profile figure. The case also sparked discussions around issues like celebrity entitlement, consent, and the way women's allegations are treated in high-profile legal battles. Tyson himself has admitted that he was a troubled, violent man during that period of his life, though he continues to deny that he diddled Desiree Washington. In the end, the truth about what happened that night in 1991 may only be fully known to Mike Tyson and Desiree Washington. Tyson's conviction stood out in court, but the question of his guilt continues to be debated to this day. For many, the case reflects a complex interplay between fame, power, and justice. It raises questions about how we judge public figures and how their personal actions affect their legacies. As for Tyson, he has gone on to live a life of reflection, reinvention, and reconciliation, but the shadow of this case will always follow him. This case isn't just about Mike Tyson or Desiree Washington. It's about the broader implications of how we navigate issues of power, consent, and justice in the spotlight. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Was justice served, or was this a case of a flawed system taking down a powerful figure? Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and share, subscribe for more deep dives into the most controversial and strange moments in human history.